Welcome to the Predictable Revenue Podcast, where sales leaders teach you what's working for them so you can build it yourself. I'm your host, Colin Stewart, and today I'm joined by Walt Maclay. He's the founder and chairman over at Volar Systems. We're going to talk about his product market fit journey. But first, this episode is brought to you by our Predictable Revenue Founder Coaching Service. Founders, let's be real. Scaling a company is challenging. You're juggling product, revenue, hiring, and a million other decisions. But what if you had a proven framework and expert guidance to help you navigate that chaos? That's where our founder coaching program comes in. Whether you're finding your first customers or fine-tuning your go-to-market strategy, we'll help you build a business that's, well, predictable. Now to the episode. Walt, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited to get a chance to hear your story. But I want to start with, where did the idea behind Volar Systems come from?
It goes back a while. It started 46 years ago. Originally, we started selling products. We sold products worldwide. And in 1999, I sold off that business and we got into consulting. I probably should start with the consulting and ignore the really old part. And it was when I sold off the old business, I had to figure out what I was going to do next. And I'll tell you, this is where experience has taught me a lot. I didn't do it right at the time. I looked around for something that looked good, and it looked like consulting was good. I should have gotten advice from a lot of good people, which I didn't. But anyway, it started out and it's been successful. But the real big change was when I had a mentor who taught me to do networking. Now, almost anybody would say, you're in the business of selling services. Networking is pretty important. In fact, networking is pretty important for any business. I'm an engineer. They didn't teach networking in engineering school.
Maybe a different type of networking.
I had to have someone tell me about it and show me how to do it. And I got pretty good at it. And that changed the business. That's when things became successful. So that's one of the first things I tell people they should do. And then as far as the first customers come from so past business, you have connections. When people start out in consulting, usually they end up working for their previous employer. In this case, it was previous customers. But that's just the beginning. And to make it into a real business, I had to learn how to get new customers. And that was networking primarily. So now we've gotten really good at networking. We've grown from a couple of people to about 20 or more than 20 people. And so it takes a lot of networking, a lot of marketing. And the other thing that I've learned is to narrow the scope of what you market. We could do virtually anything in electronics and firmware, but what we've focused on is wearable devices and medical devices. And in fact, a combination of wearable medical devices is really a fit. That's pretty narrow, but it's a really good area. And it's much more successful to market that narrow area than to market all of electronics. If you can't tell people exactly what you do, they won't remember what you do.
Absolutely. Did you start with that really narrow focus, or did you slowly work your way into it?
Worked my way into it. That's another case of where I listened to the customers, and when they kept asking for certain things, okay, that's what we should tell people we do. And, that's not a bad way to do it when you got some time. And we had a business, and to make it succeed, I listened to customers and we offered what people were asking for.
It must have felt like you're saying no to so much business by saying we only focus on medical, like wearable medical devices.
Yeah, it's scary.
Is there a fear there?
Yeah.
Yeah, talk to me about that.
You say, okay, I'm not going to talk about this business that we currently can do, and we do sometimes, and I'm just going to focus in this one area. I had a mentor who advised me to do it. You should listen to advice. Having a mentor is really important. And once it works, the next time you say, maybe we should focus even more. It's less scary the second time.
I imagine so. I've been in a position where I've had a number of services businesses. We've helped software and services companies and build like go-to-market teams and programs. And so many services companies, when I come to me and they say, okay, we want to go in after this market. I'm like, okay, what is it that you do and where are you unique? And I think the last 10 years, I've talked to a lot of outsourced software development agencies and saying, where are you unique? Oh, we've got these people, we've got these people. They're very hard differentiators to build any sort of revenue campaigns on. And so I love that you're
because
focused
of
on,
just what the people do.
yeah, because what they do and what their specialty is was more about their people and not about the type of work where they developed a very specific niche of expertise. Say medical wearables is a very specific niche, but we do outsourced software development for any SaaS company is not a very well constructed,
Exactly.
is not a tight enough niche.
Yeah, that's what I found.
I remember a friend of mine, he was one of the engineers that helped build one of our first software products. And his next company after he helped us, went from outsourced software development, which is how we met him, to helping Ruby on Rails teams do upgrades to their Ruby on Rails infrastructure. And it was extremely tight of a niche. And I thought, wow, that's either going to work extremely well or it's going to be way too niche and not at all. And he had the same fear, and it's worked out very well for him. What was it that pulled you into medical wearables? You started off on the consulting side, and then was it just the suite of customers? Like, was there
Yeah,
a particular customer that brought you that direction?
I can remember one customer where we did some medical work 20 years ago, or at least 20 years, more than 20 years ago. And it requires skills that at the time we didn't have, but we could learn.
Hmm.
And so we could do a little medical, and then we could do a little more medical, and the next time a little more. And after 10 years, you become an expert. So that's one way to do it. The other way, I could have hired people who were already experts. At the time, I didn't have the resources to find that person.
When you're trying to go that niche, it can be very challenging to find and recruit that level of individual. Sometimes you have to grow them from home.
It can be, yes. Now, we had an interesting experience just this year. Our VP of engineering left, we had found a great opportunity, had to
Mhm.
find a replacement. And partly from knowing who to ask and partly from being lucky, we found someone with exactly the skill set that matches what we're promoting.
That's
It's
fantastic.
not easy.
Absolutely. So your first customers came from networking. Where did your next group of customers come from?
Our marketing consists of having a website presence. So we do get some from who go to the web that found from searches. We get a lot of people who are referred by people we know, which ultimately is from networking. And more recently, we've been doing outbound marketing that's been quite successful in bringing in customers.
Interesting. Yeah, tell me more about the outbound marketing.
Some of it is us sending out messages, for example, going to LinkedIn. Some of it is hiring people who specialize in this. There are a lot of people who do it, and there's some who do it very well. You got to find the right ones. They end up making phone calls and sending us leads where people say they'd like to talk to us, and at a cost that makes complete sense for us.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I gotta assume one thing that is helping is having such a tight target market of
Oh, yeah.
you've done the work before, so people probably have an idea of who you are. So you might be reaching out cold, but chances are they've encountered you sometime over the last 46 years.
There, there's a good chance of that, but there's still a lot of people who haven't heard of us. So
Fair
a lot
enough.
of it is cold calling, and there are people who are good at it. I don't know how they do it, but targeting the right people makes a big difference. If you just call anybody, you're not going to get the people that have a need.
Absolutely. I think having one thing that's really must be helping you is that the people that you want to target is very narrow because you also have a very narrow focus. And so there's almost a perfect alignment between what you're going after and the target market.
Yeah, yeah. You could go through a list of people, and if you've got titles and company names, you can
Hmm.
say, okay, this company does what we're looking for, and this guy runs engineering. That's a fit.
Yeah. I wanted you to describe the moment you realized you had product market fit, where you're starting to see the same customers, the same type of customers, you're solving the same problems over and over again. And you realized, okay, this is going to be our niche. It's going to be wearable medical devices.
It was not a moment. It was a period of many years. Part of it is if you keep getting asked to do something, it must be a good market. So the more you hear people asking for it, the more you promote it. That's really that was the main thing. That's how we got there. So I do networking with people who are likely to be in that market, or as much as possible I know are in that market. But it was slowly learning just by listening to customers.
Such a underrated tactic these days. It's so simple, yet it can be so hard to do.
Yeah, listening to customers is always important.
I heard you mention in our kind of pre-call that you've transitioned from CEO to chairman. What comes next for you? What comes next for Voller?
I'm I've cut back on my work, so I'm in semi-retirement. That's why I brought in a guy to run marketing for me who's really good at marketing and made him president CEO. So it gives me some spare time. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I'm not ready to retire completely, but I'm enjoying working a little less.
That sounds like the dream, if I'm being honest. I don't think I would want to retire and be just straight up done with it because I do enjoy what I do, but being able to just do the things I want sounds like exactly what it sounds like exactly where you're at.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still get to talk to lots of interesting people and do interesting things, and yet I don't have to do 8 hours of work every day.
You've obviously had a business for so long, and we have so many people that are listening that are at the beginning of their careers. What parting advice would you have for anybody who's listening that might be in a similar business on how to grow, how to scale, how to run the business?
If you're an engineer, you probably are not good at networking. There are some engineers who are very good at it, but that networking, number one, being focused on marketing, a narrow focus is really important. Having mentors, I've learned an awful lot from mentors. Now I think I know enough I can go and mentor other people because I've made lots of mistakes and I've learned how to do it right. So I'm looking forward to sharing what I've learned.
Amazing. If people are looking to, if they're curious about Boulder Systems and they want to learn more, what's the best place for them to take a look?
Our website, volersystems.com. It's
Right.
Voler, Voler.
And if they're interested in some of that, sharing some of your wisdom and your mentorship, what would be the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Contact me at walt@volersystems.com.
Right on.
I'd be happy to talk to people.
Right on. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was really great to get a chance to hear the story and learn a little bit more about Voller.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. And thanks to everybody for listening. We'll catch y'all next week.